Welcome into the Players Club. Now for your host, Santana Moss, London Fletcher, and Sean Springs. Joined by special guest,
welcome back into the Players Club, broadcasting from the Big Bear AI Command Center studio. We are your hosts. We got Sean Springs, a.k.a. Bluefoot, and Santana Moss, a.k.a. I'm going to just say Cowboy Killer.
There we go.
Because it's
Cowboy
rivalry weekend.
Yeah, sir.
It's the Cowboys. Fellas, there's nothing like division games. We all played in this division rival.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of y'all best memories of playing in this rivalry right here?
Man, first of all, just you think you know until the first time you see like you in the game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You know, you in the game. And my best memory is I come over to Washington our first year, week 2 is Coach Gibbs. He's back against Coach Parcells. Monday night.
Legendary coaches.
Man, it was like
they took it back to the 80s.
They took it back to the 80s. It was like the Super Bowl, man. We might have had 100 cameras. I had never seen anything like that. Parcells versus Gibbs. And that was a Monday night game, and it was early in the year, and it was just incredible. And I grew up watching it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I had never experienced anything like the city of Washington hating the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So that stuck in my mind as probably one of the most like games. I was just like, wow. And obviously the 2 touchdown game where you killed him was like as a teammate, that was the best feeling I probably ever had.
That was special. I think I'm gonna go a little beyond the Monday Night Miracle game and talk about the 07 game when we had to go see them. I remember Mr. Snyder coming to me in the training room. I had a bum heel. I think I had just played 2 weeks prior to that game. We played the Jets for the first time. That was my first time going back and facing my old team.
Played Jets in New
And
York,
it was Reeves' first year. And my homeboy Bo, being that he's an ex-cornerback and he watched college football at a nauseum when it comes to just knowing the different defensive backs, he told me, "Hey, this dude Reeves is the real deal. Watch him. He might be sticking you the whole game. He that good." End of the game, I think we won the game. I could have got him on a stutter go. Jason threw it in the stands, but I ain't gonna talk about that. But he fell on my heel on one of my routes and messed my heel up. I was in a boot for 2 weeks. I missed the game afterwards, and then the Cowboy game, I was gonna miss it. I was just sitting there getting treatment, and Dan walked on that thing like, something we could do to help you. We gotta have you, man. But came game day, for some odd reason, man, I was ready. I remember pre-game, the adrenaline going.
Yeah.
I tried my little remedy. I got out there. I said, "Oh yeah, I'm ready." I was in the zone, and I had like 100 and something with a tug, and it's crazy. The second tug, if Jason missed me on it, he threw a little high in the back of the end zone. That would have sealed the game.
I remember it.
But that was a memory because already the rivalry meant so much. But just to know that I had to get up for it a little differently, and then I realized what my impact would have been like if I wasn't out there, being that I was there that day. You know?
Yeah. No, I remember that game too, that 07 game.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first.
That was your first time.
First experience of the Cowboys Redskins rivalry.
Yeah.
I had played. This was when I came to Washington. That was my third team, and I had been when I was in St. Louis. San Francisco was our rival. Yeah. When I was in Buffalo, the Dolphins was our rival.
Mm-hmm.
And I get here, so I'm like, man, I played in rivalry games. But I tell you what, man, the physicality of when we got against those, when we played the Cowboys, because we were both big teams.
Yeah,
like, you had me, I'm small, but our D-line was huge.
Big, yeah.
We had Sean Taylor, all of them. We had big guys.
Yeah,
our big offensive line. They had huge linemen.
Yeah. Big field.
Big guys.
We had big dots.
It was a physical game. I mean, and I can remember they had a running back.
They had Julius Jones.
No, they had Barry Barber. God bless his soul. Yeah. And they called him the Barbarian.
Yeah.
I guess he was known for running.
You love that, but you love
man,
that.
Listen.
You love that.
They started to run that ball. Every time I lay that helmet to him, I'm just like, 1. Hit him would get 2. Hit him would get 3. I mean, me and
good doctor.
him Watt. We
was
out there.
My man Marcus Washington.
Oh man.
Yeah,
it's probably 20 people in the training room after those games.
Yeah.
Man, that's one of the 2 teams. You had 3 picks against them.
Yeah.
You talking about being physical, but you had some picks, big
Hey,
dog.
listen, I'm glad you brought that up. So I was at a autograph signing this year, and Drew Pearson was there.
Yeah.
So we're in the back signing some items, and I see Drew, and I go up to introduce myself.
My dad's
to him.
best friend.
And he's like, yeah, no, I know who you are, linebacker. I said, man, you got something in common. He said, what? I said, we both caught passes from Cowboy quarterbacks. You mentioned your dad.
Yeah, he's one of my dad's best friends.
What was it like for you growing up in the rivalry? Your dad played for the
Yeah,
Cowboys.
man, it was it was funny because it was one of those things where you don't think about, like in college, you was like Ohio State, Michigan, you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
My dad and them were talking about, the Thanksgiving game or the Christmas game. Now they didn't disrespect the Eagles or Giants, anybody else, but they had a lot of respect for Coach Gibbs and what those boys was doing. And I just remember just waking up on Christmas, like, man, we playing, the Redskins.
Yeah,
I got my cowboy pajamas on and everything, and just going to the game. It was a highlight for me because it seemed to always be on a holiday.
On a holiday.
So
wow.
and it was big rivalry like this year.
Yeah.
It's on a holiday, so that means we back. So that was a big moment, man. And in the last story, when I came here on free agency, my dad came with me. The reason I signed, him and Coach Buggs and my Coach Gibbs, all they talked about was Cowboy football and the rivalry, and it just showed me that both organizations had so much respect for each other, man. So I was like, wow.
For you, Tanner, they call you the Cowboy Killer, man.
Yeah.
Another game out there, I've heard you tell a story about that Thanksgiving Day game when we went there in 2012.
That was big. It's crazy because
can I say one thing about Santana being a Cowboy Killer?
Yeah,
I want to say one
I'm
thing.
messing with you.
One thing. The crazy thing about Santana being a Cowboy Killer, I honestly thought Terrence Newman, who covered him a lot, was one of the best corners in the league.
He's one of my favorites.
He was my favorite corner.
He's one of my favorite covers.
And I was just like,
corners I would go against.
Yeah.
I always give him credit than anybody else. They always ask me who was the toughest
Terrence Newman
corner
was
back
nice.
that I ever faced. I was like, Terrence Newman. They were like, huh? I'm like, I saw him twice, and I feel like the guy was just gifted. You know what I'm saying? Man, he long arms, fast, can run with you. So
footwork.
I'm gonna give it to you blood raw. He's the guy. You know what I mean? Like he who I thought I used to always have to get up for. But just getting back to that 2012 game, man, different role, my mindset different, but I still had that this is my time to shine moment, Right. I know my family lives there, my uncle's there, and I remember asking the ticket master, can I get a seat in this end zone right here?
Yeah.
Because this is the game. It's Thanksgiving. I'm like, it would be no better feeling to give my uncle the football when I score.
Right.
Now, who would I've never been that bold and cocky about myself. Never. I always prepared well, but I never called my shot like I'm gonna score in this end zone. And when I got it done for the half, man, I mean, I see the picture to this day telling them to come here, come get this ball. So I forever remember that one.
I love going back down memory lanes. Actually, after the break, we're gonna go into the film room and look at some of Luke's best plays.
Welcome back to the Players Club. First, fellas, we got a special guest. And before we get to, talking about our special guest, we're gonna go check out some of his plays in the film room. It's time for Fast Lane, presented by Eastern Automotive Group. Any car, any way, for everyone, since 1988. All right, we got play number 1. Luke McCaffrey, the other McCaffrey.
Hey,
right?
This is a big time play right here.
Big time play.
Yeah, because
that's right. It was his first touchdown too.
Yeah, first touchdown.
43-yard TD from Mariota. Ain't that's crazy? Like when you get your first touchdown from the backup quarterback, that's special, man.
Yeah.
Just catching him.
Can you imagine what he was thinking?
Don't get caught. Don't get caught. I can't get caught.
I won't be denied.
I was happy for Luke, man, to make a play as a receiver.
Yeah.
Because he had started making plays in the return game, but to make plays as a receiver,
no
get
doubt.
a touchdown.
And when you get that first one under your belt,
when it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. Speaking of return game, the second one is a 40-yard kick return. This is when we knew Luke was gonna be special, man. Luke started showing us, look here, man, trust in me. I got something in me. I told y'all that's Ed's son, man. Put some respect on his name.
Well, he's fearless. He catch that ball. He's going straight up the field. I mean, attacking the blocks.
Not dancing.
He's not dancing or
Sooner or later, he's going to get that it's gonna slow down a little more for him, and he's gonna be able to make that last cut to kind of put him off into the pay dirt. Because I've seen a lot of them where he jump him, and it's still fast, so he's just trying to make a play and not trying to do too much, and he don't make the cut that I see that he could just put that foot in the ground one more time. But hey, you gotta tip your hat off to him right now. I think he's leading the league and doing it the way he know how to do it. So I'm gonna let him keep doing what he do. Play number 3, 33-yard touchdown pass from Jaden Daniels. All right, Jaden, I need one from you now, Jaden.
Hey, as soon as this play happened, and I saw all the Bears defensive backs bite up on the screen, thinking Debo was gonna get the ball.
So much attention from Debo.
I said touchdown. Soon as I saw them jump up and Luke streaking uncovered, touchdown.
These are the plays you got to really tip off your hat to the OC, because it's situations like this where we should have saw more of this. Yeah. But it's at the timing when it occurs. It was like perfect timing, you know.
A good setup. Great setup.
All right, the next play, man, in Atlanta, 58-yard kick return.
58.
I think this was at a key moment in the game when we needed something to be happening.
And you see what I'm talking about? That shit. Like, it wasn't much of a crease, but he hit the crease. Yeah. And thank God he didn't let the kicker. You know, he wouldn't have been able to be in the locker room. The kicker.
I didn't know Luke had that. I didn't even know the little spin move though.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Give me that. Let's go.
That right there caused if he don't have to spin, if he can just outrun the guy, Mike would have got his first TD as a kick returner. He gonna break one of them sooner or later. All right, last but not least, man, the last one. This is a 50-yard reception. This right here going into halftime. I remember watching this, and I'm saying to myself, like, it's only 2 routes. So he gonna either go for the gusto, because the other one was covered. And when I saw Luke come down with this, man,
it's a great catch.
Like, we could talk about the touchdowns, building your confidence, but it's nothing like catching something like this, bro. When you need it, only you can make this play, and it's on a good defender. This guy right here is one of the best in the league at playing that position, and he came down with it in the clutch time.
And you know, as he started to learn the position, you can see he stepped on the corner's toes.
Oh yeah, stepped on his toes.
He stepped on his toes. Then he broke to the post, because a lot of guys might have, not got all
prematurely go out there and kind of give it away.
The adjustment, and Tanner, you notice to be able to catch this ball, to track it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
how
difficult is that?
Tracking it, feeling that guy on your back, seeing that guy hand go in front of you, all that plays a part in you coming up with the grab. And not only that part of it, then catching the ball. You know what I'm saying? Making that catch. And I think he did everything from the route, from the plant at the top of the route, from giving his eyes and just following it all the way to his hands, man. That right there, more than anything. I remember having a catch like that early in my career. And I remember coming to the sideline and Wayne Corbett said, hey, congratulations, you're going to have 1,000 yards this year.
Wow.
Didn't know what he talking about. It was only week 2 or 3, and that year I had my first 1,000-yard season, because he saw that took a lot for me to make that catch. Play. And when you make those catches, the veterans know, oh, he's there. He's ready. He's ready to go ahead and take that step. All right, fellas, that's a wrap from the film room. Coming up next, Luke McCaffrey.
Welcome back to the Players Club. As promised, we got wide receiver Luke McCaffrey joining us. Luke, we appreciate you joining us on the Players Club.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, for you, what does it feel like when you hear our home stadium, our home crowd chanting Luke?
It's awesome. I was lucky. I watched so many Panthers games, so they used to do that with Luke Kuechly.
So
that's the first thing I think of every time he made a tackle. And so for me, every time I hear that, it kind of brings me back to that. And so it's super special. Super, super special.
That's what's up.
What has year 2 been like for you, man? I mean, last year, we didn't know what to expect with the role, but immediately when you got out there, I saw a couple of times where you got close to having that score, or you made some plays, and I was surprised, because I'm like, here's a guy who probably didn't anticipate having these opportunities last year as a rookie, but making the most of them. Fast forward to this year. Once you got your feet wet, you've been off and running, man. What has it been like for you?
It's been fun. I think we have such a good brotherhood, such a good team, that I've just been blessed to be around so many great people. I think I've been lucky enough to be able to feed off that in so many different ways. But just the unit in the receiver room with Terry, with Adam Debo this year, even Chris Moore, Jalen Lane, everybody in that room is so great. It's such good energy. And so just being able to kind of lean off that, feed off that, and then when you have a guy like Jaden, and then even Marcus, who came in a couple games this week, when you have guys that are that talented at the quarterback position, it makes the receiver position a lot more fun. And then I've been the beneficiary of a lot of good, kind of drawn up plays by Cliff too. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a blessing.
And great coach Bobby Ingram.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no
Bobby,
doubt.
so Bob,
No doubt.
Can't forget about Bobby, man, because I asked Bobby about, I was like, man, I don't call you Luke. I call you Easy Ed, son, man. It's so funny. I would save it because when I see you, man, it just remind me of my rookie year. It's the funniest story ever, man. My first game we play, the second game we play, first conference game, I'm at Seattle, I'm a rookie. And they got Ed McCaffrey out there. I said, oh, man, I can cover him. I run 4.2. He run about 4.9. Man.
Ran 4.2.
Hey, you know, you're going to put some yeast on some stories.
No, you can look that up. I can fact check me. I ain't smooth. Third pick. But anyway, by the third quarter, man, I was on the bench and they said, he took you to school. He took you to school. Hey, he hit me with an out, up, double move. And I never remember forgetting sitting on the bench. It just like, that's when you said, you know what, don't matter how athletic you are, people just work, man. And you got that, Bobby said the same thing about you. You got that, that work ethic, man. You just work. Does that come from the dad, man? Or is it your mom? Where's that come from?
I think when you're the youngest of 4, you got to have a little scrap in you, Yeah. I think you learn from, I had 3 older brothers who did it so well. A dad, I wasn't old enough to really watch him play, but you go watch highlights and you kind of get the mentality from when he's done playing. But I think he kind of just bred that into all of us. And just the way that we competed, the way that we spent so much time outdoors, so much time
He critique your routes?
doing stuff. Oh, yeah. So I switched to receiver, and he wouldn't say a word. And then I finally started asking because he didn't want to get, too involved, do anything. I had coaches at Rice. I mean, now I have Bobby, which is awesome.
Right.
So I had talked to him a lot less than I did right away. But it was so fun. The minute I started asking questions, he dove into it. He had so much fun. Yeah,
I was going to ask that because that's the first thing I think of. Like, a lot of folks get, I guess you can say enamored by your brother being so phenomenal at what he does as a running back. I remember your dad. So I'm like, I'm a receiver. I know Ed. So I joke all the time. I'm like, that's Ed McCaffrey's son. You know what I mean? I say that all the time. I'm like, don't forget Ed.
Right.
How does he feel about you playing his position and seeing you thriving right now?
I think that was a really cool moment. Well, first off, that was how I felt with you, by the way. Whooping on my brothers and Madden, all that. And then watching you on Sundays was so fun. But I think he feels really great about it. I think it was cool seeing the transition. I moved from quarterback to receiver, and he wasn't for that right away.
Right.
And I think he didn't want to see me quit on something that I'd spent so much time on. He cares about me. He saw the time and effort that I put in to one position. But it was so cool when I really kind of firmly was like, hey, no, I want to do this. This is kind of the path I'm going to do moving forward, just to see that challenging and pushing me to support. And seeing that change really is something that I'm so grateful to have. Somebody who has that, who's going to challenge me to make sure I'm confident in what I'm doing and can take the steps with conviction. And then once I kind of do that, being able to help me in every way possible. So it's such a blessing having it.
Did you play for your father in high school?
I did my senior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that? It
was awesome. Like? It was awesome. Me and my brothers fight every single time we're back home on what high school team was the best.
Right.
And Colorado has 1A through 5A. Yeah. That's the kind of like the ranking system, whatever. Yeah. And we're the only undefeated 5A team.
Oh,
wow. So we were a small school, so my brother played in 4A for a year.
Right.
And then would play some like national games and all that. And so that was such a special year. It was so cool to just have him and be able to learn from him too, and be able to learn from just the new system. He learned a lot from Mike Shanahan back in the day. So taking his knowledge from that kind of to our high school at the most you can do with a bunch of high school kids. But it was so fun to do that.
Tell me this, because I don't think I notice or not, most of the boys or guys get their athletic talent from their moms.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that my mom was everything.
Yeah.
So were your mom athlete or not?
Was she?
Yeah, my mom and dad met in a training room. She was a soccer player. Yeah, she's a stud. She's the best athlete in our
family. So why we giving mom some credit?
We are giving her credit.
He has.
He says so.
We got to give mom credit in the past.
No, she's the best athlete in the family.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
Now, what all sports did she play?
Soccer. Soccer was her main sport.
Right.
Yeah. High school, you do a little bit of everything.
What's up, Mom?
Great soccer.
Let me ask you this. So last year you drafted Same draft class as Jaden.
With the 100th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver, Rice.
You played a quarterback at one point in time.
Yeah.
Obviously, you switched to a receiver in college. What's it been like developing that relationship with Jaden? I'm sure some of the things you probably see through the lens of a quarterback. What's that relationship been like with him and developing on and off the field?
Yeah, I think first off, he's just talented, and so it's hard to compare my game to his because it's different levels when it comes to playing quarterback. But on top of that, it's so fun to just see his process, see the mindset he has, and I think just the calmness under pressure that he has comes from the work and the preparation that he puts in, and it's so cool to see somebody with that much confidence and that much, poise, especially as a young player. I think that's something that's rare in every position, in every sport, but to see somebody who has that, at a generational level is really, really cool.
But playing quarterback, does that give you the advantage? Like, what he possibly could be thinking? Like, you see this look, you kind of gives you the advantage, puts you on the same page with him? Or?
Definitely. I think that helps with film study, with preparation.
Right.
I think when I first switched, one of the big things I learned quickly was at receiver, you almost have to think small. You have your route, you have your job, you got to do that. You can't care about what the backside receiver's running, right? It's like, hey, I'm one-on-one, man-to-man, or it's zone and I got to find the zone.
Yeah.
And from that, I think timing-wise it helps a lot because you understand that, but really, receiver comes down to thinking small and focusing on your work.
I will say this, as time goes on, then you start saying, okay, I know everything about mine. Now let me look at the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. By the time I got to year 10, things slowed down tremendously to where I start seeing the field instead of just worrying about my side.
Yeah.
So you got plenty of time for that. But I love the way you put that. You got to think smaller because if you went out there as a quarterback now playing receiver and looking at the whole field, you got to worry about what's in front of you. You know what I mean? You beat that zone, you beat that man coverage. That's all you have to worry about.
Yeah.
You've been making your mark on special teams. That's where you initially started making your mark, covering kicks. You made the first touchdown reception. Then you went out and made the tackle on the kickoff coverage.
Yeah.
But
That's
now,
willingness to do it what it takes, man.
Leading the National Football League, I believe, in kickoff return average. You continue to develop it as a return guy. What has been really the key for you really just ascending as a returner?
I think it's been a lot of fun. I returned kicks back in high school, and it was one of the most fun things I've ever done. And I think coming out of college, one of the big knocks on me was that I'd never played special teams.
Wow.
Because, quarterback, maybe I held as a backup holder, but never played special teams. So that was always the first question I got in every single draft interview, every single meeting I ever had was, where are you going to fit in on special teams? And so just to be able to kind of embrace that has been so fun. But I think we have such a good unit, starting with Izzo, who obviously a great player himself, but I think he's, top tier of coordinators you could ever have as your first one coming in. And then when you have a guy like that, and then you have players like Revo, like Nick Ballore and all those guys who've done it at such a high level, you can't help but embrace it. And then that on top of having our key players playing on special teams, seeing Quan play on kickoff, seeing Mikey on kickoff. Like when you have that buy-in from the top down, from DQ to Izzo to, ingrained in the players, it's so fun to just be able to be a part of that. Just be a small cog in the big wheel of what that unit looks like.
I like it.
All right, Luke. We appreciate that. Luke, we have all our guests who come on the show autograph this football for us, man. We appreciate it if you would do that. And that'll do it for this edition of the Players Club. Y'all can check us out same time next week.
Players Club was filmed at Big Bear AI Command Center Studio. Big Bear AI offers mission-ready AI for a rapidly evolving world, proudly protecting the Washington Commanders and its fans.